All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College Application and Website Development, or AWD1111 Database-Driven Web Development class, I've been doing a series of video presentations. Most of these presentations have been based off of the Valley of Code, which is a website by Mr. Flavio Copes. And Mr. Copes has written several handbooks. I have gone through and done several presentations based on his HTML handbook, his CSS handbook, his JavaScript handbook. Afterwards, I went in and added a few of my own AWD1000 web development technologies videos that I'd created with some of the intricacies and basics of JavaScript. All right. Then I went over and went through Mr. Brad Traversy's Web Dev Guide. So now I'm back with Mr. Copes, and I'm in his Node.js handbook. And in the last lecture, I started to go through some of the ways that you can go and add and really make your Node project available. And what I wanted to show you was this thing through Heroku. And this is a great article on getting started with Heroku. I went through this and was going through all the steps, but I had nothing but problems. So I'm going to have to go back and make sure that by the time we're ready to do that as a class, which honestly and truly should be fairly early in the class so you get used to the process. All right, I'm going to have to go back and do that, and hopefully we'll get it to work and work correctly. Okay. So I'm going to continue on. And as mentioned last time, we're going to talk a little bit here about Reppel. Reppel, again, is an acronym that stands for Read, Evaluate, Print, Loop. What Reppel does, and I'm going to show it to you right here. So I'm going to go back to here. In fact, let's see, I don't need this anymore. So let me close a few things that I don't need. All right. And let me jump into here. Now, from our console here, this is still a running program. Actually, I should have shut it. Maybe that's one of the reasons I had problems when I tried to upload this, but I don't think that was it. So I'm going to do a Control-C, not there. Oops. I'm going to do a Control-C down here, and that will stop. Should stop my app. Okay, Control-C. There we go. And I'm going to clear. Now, for lack of better words, if I come in here and just type in from right here, if I just come in and type in, I don't know what I did. Here we go. Just type in Node. Now I'm in Reppel. All right. What can I do in here? A lot of stuff. If I want to, I can do simple things like math. All right. Now, why would I want to do math in there? I don't know, but it's one of the things that is available to me. I can also, from in here, run a script. All right. If I wanted to do that. So if I just type in Node, that opens up Reppel. Notice I can do a console.log. Now, what I'm about to tell you, probably I've explained to you already, but just in case I haven't, let's do a console.log. And we'll say in here, this is a test. And we get that. And you notice that it does spit everything back at us. And then it says undefined. And the reason it says here undefined, the reason it says that is that really what I am trying to do right here is everything basically that we're working on here is it's a call to a function. I'm calling console.log, which is a built-in function. All right. And it's not returning anything. So the return statement that's in here, it means it's undefined because nothing has been returned. Just so you're aware of that. All right. So again, we can say stuff like this. Well, let's grab the examples that they have in here. This is stuff I've mentioned to you before. If I say if does 5 in double quotes, is that equal to 5? And it says true. Is 5 in double quotes equal to 5 in single quotes. And that's true. But if I use the triple equal sign with this one, and I compare a non-string with a string, so if I say if 5 is equal to 5, notice it's false. All right, so this is just basic, simple type of JavaScript that we're running right here, just to show you that you can run this stuff in here. All right. Let's try this one. See if it works. All right. Now, this isn't going to work like this, but I should be able to come in here. Let me grab this, copy it to the clipboard, and see if I can get it to work. So I'm going to say function generate random, and I'm going to say return math.random. That's all I'm going to put in here. In fact, let's say console.log. I would think this would work, but we'll find out very shortly. I thought we could clear from there, but it's not liking that, so. All right, so let's see. And it just said undefined, so it doesn't like something that's in here. CLS is not defined, yeah. Clear is not defined, so let's see. Well, 5 times 3, 15, so that worked. So I've now created this function called generate random. All right, so let's see if we call it what happens. Generate random. Notice we get a random number. If we run it again, a different random number, and a different random number, and a different random number. Remember that by default, which means unless told otherwise, that what happens when you call math.random is it returns a random number greater than or equal to 0 and less than 1. So if I come back and change this, oops, I don't want that, so sure, I'm just going to close that. I don't want that open. But if I come back here and change this thing, so let's put here generate random 2, and we'll do a console here, but I'm going to say math.random times 100, whoops, plus 1. And I think I want the integer portion. Maybe not. Let's see. Let's check that out quickly. Generate a random number in JavaScript. All right, we'll do this. Math.floor, math.random times 100. All right, so this will be generate random 2. Now when we do this, and I bring this back in here, it just comes back, oh, it says syntax error. And that's why. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let me make this smaller. All right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That should be okay. Hopefully it'll be okay. All right, now if I call generate random 2, now notice there's 93, 32, 58, 1, 63, etc. So you can see I have inside of here, I have both created and invoked my own function, which is another thing that you can do in Reppel, besides, as I showed you earlier, just coming in and doing some simple mathematics. All right. As it says, it's interactive. As you write your code, maybe you saw that. If you press the tab key, it'll try to do an autocomplete for you. It says, try entering the name of a JavaScript class like number, add a dot, and press tab. So let's try that. So number, dot, and press tab. And of course, nothing happened. Add a dot and press tab. The Reppel will print out all the properties you can access on that class. Number dot. Well, let's just try it without the tab. So number dot, and we hit enter. All right, not sure what it's doing right there, if anything. All right. There's other stuff we can do in there, such as typing global, etc. The point is this. There is a bunch of stuff that you can do here in this fairly interactive program called Reppel. All right, let's see if any of these work. All right, so I'm going to come in here. These commands, it says start with a dot. Dot help. And there's some help commands. You'll notice if I want to get out, I can do a Control-C to abort the current expression and a Control-D to exit Reppel. I believe if I do 2 straight Control-Cs, it'll also stop Reppel. Now, why am I not spending more time with this? Because I don't ever use this. Ever. There's much better ways of doing it. So I'm running through a bunch of this stuff here. As it says, you can work with it on the command line. Now, I don't even know if this is Reppel anymore, so let's go in and talk about this. Node accepts arguments on a command line. So when you are invoking a Node application like we did before, when we did our NodeJS program, all right, when we did our Node app.js program, we did it like this. We did not provide any arguments, but it is totally permissible to provide arguments like this or like this. All right, it says this changes how you will retrieve the value using Node. The way you retrieve it is to use the process object that's built into it. It exposes an argv property. Argv is used in a lot of programming languages. It stands for argument vector. As it says, it's an array that contains different command line arguments. All right, so the first argument is the full path to the command. The second one is the path to the file being executed, etc. And there's other things. Again, do you have to worry about this? The answer is no. All right, I'm just going through this because I'm trying to be complete. All right, and when I get done with this section, we'll be done with this tape and we'll get back into the swing of things, so to speak. All right. So it says here you can pass multiple values to console.log. All right, and it'll print both. That's fine. You can do some pretty printing. All right, what does this mean? The %s means that this is a placeholder for a string. The %d, this is a placeholder for an integer. So the %s here is cat. The %d here is 2. You can do a console.clear to clear the console. I don't know if that'll work in here or not. Here we go. That's how we clear a console. All right. Counting elements, some of this stuff to me, in my humble opinion, is just so simplistic, I don't see the need to go over it. As has been mentioned previously, there are better ways of doing this stuff than using Reppel. All right. And it looks like, oh my gosh, Jeff, you are wasting so much time talking about this stuff. You know, and if it's not that important, why are you even going through it? Because I want to show what's in there, A, and B, I want to let you know that, in my opinion, it's not worth going over. All right? So I'm going to stop right here, and when we come back, we're going to pick it up on part 15 here, an introduction to the Node Package Manager. And you've already had some of this. Okay, be back shortly.